All right, guys, welcome back to another episode, GPPD Podcast. I'm your host, KD, with my buddy...
Nate.
Yeah, Nate, thanks. Okay, so before we get started, a couple things. The next testing date we have is May 18th. Get online. It's grandprairiepolice.org. Get the personal history statement filled out. I know it's 92 pages long, but do it so that you can.
I guess every time what number you're going to say for the pages
is different.
I'm not right. I've never been right. I guess low last time you're like 117. I was like, dang it.
Yeah, it's a bunch. And then also just kind of keep in mind. So we have communications, maybe jobs available. I know detention staff.
Oh yeah, communication detention. They're always going to have.
Yeah, we always need good people. All right, so this is going to be a good one today. We're going to jump in. Mr. Eric, I appreciate you coming on with us.
Hey, guys. Happy to be here. Before we get started, I love the hairstyles.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's a good look.
You know
it's
what?
a good look.
Yeah, I like it.
I keep telling him, just embrace the oldness. And just
no. I'm not even going to turn around. I'm going to keep my eyes this way and just say, I like what I'm looking at. I feel like I'm at an oral board, but that's okay. I can do this.
That's funny. That's funny.
I'm excited about this one because we met 2.5 minutes ago, so we're gonna get to actually get to know each other.
Let's get to know each other.
Yeah. So, man, let's start from the beginning, and we'll get out of order. Trust me, there's no order. You'll see later, because I just ask questions as they come up.
Well, you write things down, you forget you wrote them down.
Shut up. All right. So, like growing up, getting started, how did you get to where you are?
Oh, all right. So I was born in the Philippines.
Yeah.
I'm older than I look. I'm actually 53 years old. So I was.
Oh, wow.
I grew up in the Philippines, and my family immigrated to California in 1980.
Okay.
And I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Yeah.
Spent a lot of time there, all the way to high school. And then in 1994, I had this crazy idea. It's like, man, I want to go be a police officer. I think that would be really cool. I had met a friend who was a reserve officer for the town that I worked at, and I had gone to high school with this guy. This guy was, he was okay, but he wasn't anything special. And then all of a sudden, he's a reserve police officer. I see him in uniform. I'm like, man, if that knucklehead can do it, I can do it too, right? So I'm like, I can do it too. So I had this crazy idea. So I just took some administration and justice classes. A year and a half later, after taking some junior college courses, I was a police officer for the city of Brisbane, which is a small town just south of San Francisco.
Okay.
The town bordered Candlestick Park with the 49ers. 49ers. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. We're going to cut this interview right now.
We appreciate your time.
Believe me, man. Being a 49er fan in the heart of the DFW area is not easy, but we hold strong, baby.
I will say I might be easier than being a Cowboys fan. DFW.
True. We won't go off on that today.
So I became a police officer, and this is how long. This is just to kind of give you an idea of how the rules are set up back then. At the time I became a police officer, I actually was not a citizen of the United States.
Really?
Yes. At the time, California law stated that you could be a police officer if you were eligible to become a citizen within 1 year of your appointment.
Yeah.
So I was literally walking around in my uniform, making traffic stops with my green card inside my vest pocket, just inside my uniform.
That's
crazy. I would just. You're right. I know. That's
weird.
That's how it was. And
I don't hate it though. If you're eligible, get a start.
Right, because even way back then, did y'all have like polygraph and aura boards and all of that?
No, absolutely.
So
yeah.
he was vested.
Yeah. I was vetted in, but I wasn't a citizen of the United States, and it was a little quirk in the law that they had that allowed me to become a police officer, because that was a concern at the time for me. Because even though I had been here since 1980, the path to citizenship is a long one. It takes a while. It's a process, and I hadn't gone through the process yet. And at the time, they actually didn't require police officers to go through a full-time academy. We had a reserve academy, right? I don't know. Do you guys still have reserve officers here?
Reserve officers?
I think we do have a couple of reserves. I don't know what they do.
Auxiliary officers,
training.
right?
Yeah.
So at the time, the same training that they got, the same training that you would have at an academy, which is intensive at the time, 5 months straight through. Yeah. as a reserve officer, you can take those in blocks, and they offered it at the local junior college. So you would get the equivalent of a full academy by just going to junior colleges and taking these small blocks. So it was Academy Light, right?
Oh wow! And you show up and you're like, here's a badge, here's a gun.
That's exactly how it was. And I became at the time a level 1 police officer, which is a level 1 reserve police officer. I wasn't a fully sworn officer, but I had the ability to operate on patrol on my own, drive around.
Make traffic stops,
everything as such. The only difference was when I went off duty, I was no longer a police officer.
Oh, okay.
That was it. When I was on duty, I had the full sworn powers of a police officer. So I'm 23 years old, I'm talking barely any academy training, and I'm driving around, strutting around like this, big peacock feathers out like that. You guys know how it is.
Was that like your first legit job?
No, I was actually working at I had a corporate job. I was working in the marketing department of a retirement company, of a pension fund, and then I went and I became a level 1 reserve officer, doing a huge difference. And then the weird thing was, I got hired on full time by the Redwood City Police Department. Now, when you get hired full time, you go to the academy. Now you have to go to the academy, and so I had to do all the academy again, which really, really helped me. The intensive training helped me. Yeah. But I say that only because in the middle of the academy, you could only miss 4 days unless they booted you. Yeah. The 4th day that I had to miss was the day I had to go get my citizenship. I had to go get sworn in for my citizenship. So I was in the police academy as I got sworn in as an officer. I got sworn in as a citizen of the United States. Yeah. So it's kind of cool. It's kind of like the American dream, right? Yeah, it's from nothing, growing up in the Philippines, watching Chips, Ponch and John, and going, whoa, someday I'll do that. And then next thing you know, 1995, there I am, full-fledged police officer, rolling around and enjoying my time. 23 years old, man.
Okay, so I want to go back to that. So when you're in the Philippines, coming up or growing up, did you have interactions with the officers over there? How was the police different over there?
Are you kidding me? My mom cried. She cried tears when I told her I was going to be a police officer. And they were tears of fear.
Fear, okay.
Only because the police are not very well respected over there at the time. My father was very, very scared as well. It's a third world country in the 80s. Yeah. And you're talking about...
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but when you say not world, they were scared because it's almost like a not like a grimy job, or they're abusive?
It's abusive and it's grimy. And basically, traffic stops in the morning was you made traffic stops in the morning as a cop in the Philippines in the 80s so you could pay for your lunch. You would make traffic stops in the afternoon so you could pay for your dinner.
Oh, Jesus.
Corruption was rampant. Right. And it was a cash system. And, you can always tell how well a police officer did by how heavy they were. The ones that were eaten were the ones that were likely the most corrupt.
That is wild.
That's how it was. And so I know. So coming from that background and that viewpoint, my parents were horrified because they still hadn't really adjust. I mean, they're old school. That's all they knew. Yeah. So now I'm going to be a police officer. Now, first thing my mom thinks is, oh man, the corruption and all this. Now you're going to fall into that and be put into all of these things. And it was dangerous to be a police officer in the Philippines. So dangerous here too, but the danger was a little bit different there. Because of their involvement with crime bosses. I mean, it was real.
I was say they're associating themselves. They're effectively criminals.
Absolutely. It's no different than it would be, to be a police officer in a rural narco town in Mexico. Right. It's the same thing. It's everywhere. Yeah. So that was kind of the culture. I know, right?
I can't say I blame them.
No, they were scared, and then eventually, my dad was so scared that in my 22 years as a cop, he never went on a ride along with me.
Really?
He refused. I was like, Dad, come on, let's go. Come on, just come with me. Just get in the car.
Yeah, he was
nope. He wouldn't do it. He goes, I can't see my son. He always thought that something bad was going to happen to me. And bless his heart, he just cared about me. But
which I don't think he would keep me out of the car. But I don't want my boys to be cops.
Of course not.
I don't dislike the profession, and I think I've spent a good time doing a lot of good things. But
here's the thing. Here's the thing. I've been retired how many years now? 6-7 years now. And what you guys will realize is that once you get some separation from the job, you will realize that you paid a price that's very high. You won't see it right now. You guys are in the trees. Once you get a little bit of separation, and you're going to realize, wow, I really wasn't normal for X amount.
Really?
So, what my epiphany is I've got a great pension. They pay me, but they nearly didn't pay me enough for the price that I had to pay.
True.
It really screws with you. And after a couple of years, and you begin to decompress after you get some distance from the job, you'll start to see, man, what the heck? You just kind of do that. Yes, it's universal. You'll see it, but it's just, hey, I tell people it's the life we chose, Batman.
There you go. Yeah. Do we think it's beneficial then to go to like GP went to a 20-year retirement, right? Because that hasn't been around for a long time.
No, they actually did that pretty recently.
Yeah, so we have the option of a 20-year retirement.
Okay.
Now, money-wise, it doesn't pay as well as if you retire 30 years.
Sure.
But my thought was, I try to tell these young guys, man, if you get in the investments, try not to buy every freaking toy that you see out there. Some of us may be able to do a 20 or 25-year retirement so that you can get out and enjoy, like you said, because the price that we pay is heavy.
Right.
It is heavy. And it may take you coming away from the job and then going, holy crap, I did what? And I ate like for how long?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
It really does. And the thing that really brought that into focus with me was I had my best friend come out with me on a ride-along, right? I've known this guy since I was 9 years old. I'm in uniform. I just do a basic traffic stop. I see a traffic violation, do a traffic stop. It was nighttime. And I go contact the driver, do my thing, come back. And when I sit back down the patrol car, I look over at my friend. He's sweating. And he's like nervous. I'm like, hey, Jason. I go, hey, Jason, you all right, bro? He goes, oh my God, you just went up there and contacted that guy. I go, yeah, it's what I do. He goes, I could never do that. I couldn't do that. So contrast that's a regular citizen that just absolutely freaked out. Not freaked out, but the nervousness got to him so much that I'm contacting a stranger in the dark, not knowing what's in the car.
Sure,
anything can happen. All these things are running through his head. We do it a dozen times a day.
Yeah,
20.
I wonder if it's just kind of built in, like you understand.
You so what happens is you switch something off that's present in the normal person.
Sure.
So now when you got to switch that back on after 20 years of having it off, that's kind of the decompression I'm talking about. We take that for granted. You go make a traffic stop right now after 7 years being off. If I were to make a traffic stop, I'd be a mess. I'd be a total mess.
You think so?
Absolutely, I'd be a mess.
I figured you just kind of like ease back in, or just hop right back in, like kind of riding a bike.
Yeah, but it would be just like your first traffic stop when you first started, when you first got off of field training, when you're like, you're kind of doing, the thing.
You still get nervous.
You get nervous, but that citizen, that one traffic stop, like almost gave him a heart attack, from his perspective. And we do that over and over when we turn off the external stuff, but our brain is still back where that citizen is. So it's just being bombarded with the stimulus that I think, just get numb to.
Right.
And so that was one of the things, right? That was one of my observations. I can make these observations now because I have a little bit of distance from the job, and I have so many friends that retired, either medically or all of these other things. But yeah, and then that was it. I went to the Redwood City Police Department in 1995. I was in patrol. I was an FTO. I worked the schools. I was a detective. I did property crimes. I did murder cases. And then I went to the district.
Isn't it true that property crimes, is a common misconception, but property crimes is actually more important than murder cases?
So you're talking to two detectives in here.
Oh, I love working property crimes. Property crimes are fun because property crimes and dopers went hand in hand.
Yeah.
And that's
for sure.
Fun. That was the fun part. We would have these. What you guys probably are, but 187 is the California Penal Code for murder. So we would have we would have property 187s. A little community you get like 10 you get 10 Autobergs, or you get a serial burglar just hitting a couple of houses. Man, my story is like property 187, boys.
Yeah.
Well, me and my partner would be like, let's go.
We'll call him aggravated. It'd be like someone has wallet got taken. It's like, hey, this is an aggravated wallet theft. Like, this is important. So you're 23. You're a reserve officer. You get commissioned as a full police officer.
Yes.
And you said Redwood.
Redwood City. Yes.
Okay. What happened from there?
Well, from there, I went through my career over there. I was progressing through the assignments, and then an opportunity came up at the district attorney's office. So the Redwood City is the county seat, so the DA's office was right in town.
Okay.
And so now I had an opportunity literally to move from one building and move to another building a mile away as a district attorney inspector. The DA's office is a unique position. I don't know how they do it here in Texas, but at least in our county, our DA's office responds to all the murders, any murder in the county.
Oh, okay.
Any murder in the county. Typically, a investigator and a deputy DA will go respond any time of night. Our DA also handles officer-involved critical incidents.
Right, and that's the case for us as well.
Shootings, in custody deaths, major use of force cases, conflict of interest cases, like and also they handle the prosecution of officers.
Right.
And that was one of the unique things that I was able to do in my career. And fortunately / unfortunately, is to place other officers under arrest,
Right.
take them into custody. Yeah. We've had a couple of those incidents, and from there, I was an inspector for a few years, and then I became a senior inspector. So I was basically in charge of the unit. And
you're still a law enforcement officer?
You're still a full sworn law enforcement officer. Even I don't know if serving subpoenas is a law enforcement function. That's not really cool, but whatever. Whatever. Yeah. No, it was a. Being a DA inspector, kind of broadened it. It opened up. Most cops are kind of cordoned in by the city limits, and when I became a DA inspector, I went out countywide, statewide, and nationwide. And one of the unique opportunities I had was I ran the CalRAP, which is the California Witness Relocation Assistance Program. It's basically witness protection for the county.
I know it was a real thing.
Yeah.
That was like Men in Black stuff. I didn't know that was.
Yeah, we were, at least when I was there and I participated in it, basically we would relocate people who.
So how does that work?
Look, I was like, is that like the movies where you give them a wallet and a social and a driver's license?
This is you now.
You now go by Mark.
You can go. It was funny because I learned about this program, and the county hadn't really done it en masse. But when I got in and I got involved, we began to do it regularly, and it can be as in depth as. Okay, we're going to relocate you. We're going to help you. We're going to relocate you. We're going to move your family. We're going to do this, and we're going to get you a new house. To, hey, here's a check to move out of your apartment. Good luck, see ya. So it could be either or. So the big thing with me was I got a chance to relocate people all over the country.
Right.
And I'm like, I was trying to get someone to relocate to Hawaii. It just wouldn't happen because then I got to go visit them, right?
Right.
I get a little travel, but we took people all over the country, and it was real. It was a serious job, and that was one of the fun parts. I travel a lot for that job.
Yeah, it would be cool. So, and as a kid who grew up on Goodfellas and Casino and all those movies and stuff, I always been fascinated by that. So, what's the craziest, like the craziest case, if you can talk about, like what's the craziest case you ever worked where it's like, man, we got to make this guy appear in Nome, Alaska?
Well, yeah. Well, not. This one did have a witness relocation aspect to it because one of the witnesses had to relocate, but the case itself was kind of nuts, right? I worked a gang shooting, and I just your typical gang shooting, but the shooter was 14 years old. And yeah, he was 14 years old. And he if you were into firearms or ballistics or anything, so here's what happens, right? There's a gang of Sureños Southsiders. They see a couple of Norteños in a neighborhood, and there's 5 of them in the car. They drive by, they see this guy, they mad dog him, they go around the corner, they put masks on, they come back around. One of them gets out of the car, the 14-year-old. And the Norteño, the rival gang member, runs. As he's running away, the Norteño shoots one shot. The Sureño shoots one shot. The 14-year-old cranks off one round, hits the guy in the back of the head, goes to the back of his head, right out his eyebrow. Okay, so that part, okay. But here's the crazy part: the firearm that was used was a Raven 25. If you know what a Raven 25, it's a Google. It's a piece of crap, like 2-inch barrel, barely works, like a Jennings kind of. It's just like your regular.
Not an accurate.
Like a high point. Yeah, a little bit like a high point, right?
Yeah.
Just okay, so it's a 25. He shot it sideways, one shot. The victim has a club foot, so he's running away. So as he's running, he runs like this. The head is bobbing like a balloon side to side.
Yeah.
The distance, I think, was about, I want to say it was maybe 25 to 30 yards when he hit him. So what are the chances of a 14-year-old kid, probably never shot a gun before, pulls it out, goes homie style sideways like this with the 25, the guy's running away, and the target is bobbing like this. And he goes, pow! And he nails him. 10X's him right here, right through there, and the guy falls straight down. But that's not the crazy part, right? Then it gets even worse.
Wait.
So the guy's down.
Okay.
So we figure it out. Me and my partner, Jim Bertolotti, one of my best friends. We figure this. We work this thing. We work with probation officers. We figure out everyone. We corral everyone. Within 24 hours, we got 5 people in custody. And we're talking, and I get to interview the kid. I get to interview the shooter's brother who was in the car with him, who's also the same age. And he basically says, yeah, my brother shot him. And we get the confession. Great case overall. So the guy goes into custody. And he's the youngest kid ever charged as an adult in the history of the county. The DA said, well, you know what? If you turn my streets into a war zone, in the middle of the day, you deserve to be treated as an adult. So first one ever. This was 2005. And so this kid goes to the juvenile facility. He's in the juvenile facility. We're awaiting trial. We're getting ready to go to trial. I think about a year had gone by. They had built a brand new juvenile facility, really nice. They kind of moved all the kids from the old one. And so when a new facility is built, sometimes they don't take a lot of things into consideration. They had forgotten that the basketball court, that the height of the basketball backboard was at the same level of the security fence. This kid escapes.
Oh, crap.
He escapes. He's gone. Up the basketball, jumps the fence, gone. This was February.
And everything?
Gone. He is gone. February 14th, he is gone. We have no idea where he
Valentine.
is. He is gone. And mind you, we were just weeks away from going to trial with him and someone else and his co-defendant. So now we have a murder suspect who's escaped the juvenile facility, and everyone's kind of like, he's just gone.
And you have gang affiliation too, so you have a bunch of people who are at risk of retaliation.
He's gone, absolutely. He's gone. That's the thing, right? The guy's out of custody, and he had his homies with him, and they're all over the place. They're some are in the prison system, and they're gone. And I have witnesses out there that are kind of like, uh-oh.
Right.
All right? So he's gone, right? We call America's Most Wanted.
Do you really?
We did. We did. America's Most Wanted came on and said, yeah, let's do a profile on this. So they do a profile on this guy. Months go by. 6 months. Next thing you know, San Antonio PD. Hey, I think we have your guy in custody. I'm like, what? They caught him in San Antonio. This 14-year-old kid makes his way from California to San Antonio. And the way it worked over there was some busybody had seen the America's Most Wanted. So when they see this, he lives in an apartment complex, and there's a bunch of guys, like the gang members always hanging out, and he goes, man, that guy looks like one of them. That guy really does. I think that's the guy. I think that's him. So he calls San Antonio PD. Anyway, the detective's like, yeah, whatever, man. He's like, no, you guys know, yeah, whatever. So anyway.
That's not how it works.
Oh, I know how the sausage is made. So anyway, so the guys go out there and they start doing some surveillance, and sure enough, they're like, man, I think that's the guy. Yeah. So they pick him off. Now here's the bad part. San Antonio PD had actually taken him into custody like 3 months before for burglary, and they let him go. So they had him already, let him go. Then they went back and got him. Yeah. It's the craziest thing.
What the hell?
So anyway, we get him and we take him in, and we the case goes. But it was crazy because you have a 14-year-old with an impossible shot, escapes juvenile hall. We think he's gone forever. This guy's 700 miles into Mexico by now. Yeah. Probably we're never going to catch this kid. Right. And the next thing you know, San Antonio PD calls us, and they have him like, how does this even work? So I don't know where he's at. He's in prison somewhere.
Hopefully he's still in prison.
Well, his next basketball goal was that little play school about this tall.
This is what you get.
They said all they did is someone gave him a boost up to the rim, and he pulled himself up, got up on the backboard, from the backboard
jumped
over the
over.
fence.
Yeah.
That's simple, and he's gone. Just poof, like Kaiser Soze. Poof, like in The Usual Suspects.
Yeah.
Just gone. That's wild. But anyway, we got war stories for days. I mean, that's what cops do, right?
Yeah.
If we had a couple beers right here, I mean, we'd be here till midnight.
Oh no, probably tomorrow. Probably tomorrow.
I keep bringing it up. Keeps getting shut down.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Okay, so you mentioned, and I like to ask, you did some time as a SRO. We call it SRO.
Yeah,
School
I was an
Resource
SRO.
Officer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how was that? And that was in Cali.
That was in California. I was the back then SROs were part time, so it was kind of like a side overtime gig that you kind of did.
Oh, okay.
Back
Okay.
so which was nice. So I would
Yeah.
I was at the middle school for. I was in the middle school for like 2 days a week, sometimes 1-2 days a week, depending on the need. And
That's cool.
it was great. It was great. You just kind of come in on your day off and go, work 4 or 5 hours at the school. At the time, I was just doing it for money.
Yeah.
It's like, money, that can be anything. But I learned very quickly that my time as an SRO allowed me to get to know all the kids, the good kids and the knuckleheads.
Sure.
Because what happens in those knuckleheads in middle school when they get to high school? They're the ones doing all the dirt.
Right.
So I knew everybody. You know what I mean? So when I transitioned to the gang unit, it was right around the time that the kids that I knew in middle school are kind of graduating and doing more and more dirt on the streets. And so it was like a treasure trove of intelligence for me.
Right.
So I knew they would be like, hey, this kid, I know who that kid is. Let's go. I know where he's at. I know where that kid hangs out. Hey, that kid has a warrant.
Yeah.
Just because of the year or two that I spent getting to know him. So I really enjoyed my time as an SRO because it paid off in
I've used
in
IRS for a
bunches.
year and a couple times, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
Be like, hey, do you know some guy's name starts with TR or something? Probably this guy.
Yep, exactly. That's exactly how it
that's
works.
him.
His sister does. Yep, I know.
Yep. Got him. I've been to the house. I've done home checks. I've done welfare checks on the house. I know the brother, the sister. You know
they're
the
awesome
layout of the
resources.
house. SWAT wants to hit a house. Yep, I've been in that house. Here you go. Here's the layout. I mean, just
That's
a
cool.
treasure trove of intelligence.
Now, what order were you doing? Because you rattled off your assignments. It's obviously it's a laundry list. It sounds like
Yeah.
you hit almost every category.
I did. I was lucky.
What order were we doing this in?
I'm sorry. What?
Like, what order did you do some of these things in? Like, where you go like straight from patrol to work at murders?
Yeah,
or
no.
was it-
I was, I was in patrol working midnight shift with Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday off,
Right.
like everyone else. The seniority-based patrol, and then after that, I was able to get the part-time SRO job, and then I became an FTO. After that, I went to.
How'd you enjoy that?
FTO was probably the scariest time of my.
See, I'm the same way. I'm like, giving somebody else control.
I think the most scared I've ever been as a police officer was when my recruit got into a pursuit, 100 miles an hour on the freeway, and there was nothing I can do. I must have been screaming like It's like. I think I was screaming. My fingernails are digging in. There's nothing quite like it. That, and then the other time I've been scared was I was in the back of an unmarked vehicle when we were riding around looking for gang members, and we ended up chasing one of them. So being on the front seat is one thing with a recruit. Being in the back seat. And you're bouncing around.
You're in the back seat.
I am in the back seat of an unmarked car. And we're looking, and I'm bouncing around there, and now
Why? Wait, first off, why?
You hop over.
we would roll like 3 or 4 deep in cars.
Okay.
And
Gotcha.
we would roll 3 or 4 deep in unmarked and jump out on people, bail out on people, and so I was in the back and they chasing. I don't know which was scarier, being in the front or the back. The back probably a little bit more because the car was unmarked. And then I'm just envisioning the crash on my side, and I'm just anyway. I think I pooped my pants on that one.
That's funny.
And then I went to, after FTO, I went to the county task force for vehicle theft. That was a lot of fun. And then after that, I went to street crimes unit, which is our gang unit.
Okay.
And then after that, I went to detectives, and the first half, I went to a 3-year stint in detectives. First half, I did property crimes, and eventually, just by natural progression, you graduate to more and more serious cases. And I ended up doing murder cases, and then when I went to the DA's office, and We pretty much just worked everything. We worked cold cases. We worked. We had cities that didn't have enough resources to properly work murder cases, so they would call us and ask us to take over. So, everyone in my office would pitch in, and it wasn't uncommon for you to catch a murder case from another city.
That's weird.
Yeah, you go. Yeah, we have a city. We have a 2.5 mile area where we live in at the time. It's called East Palo Alto. Mm-hmm. It's literally right over the bridge from Palo Alto, which is where Stanford University is. Yeah. Facebook headquarters is literally a 1/2 mile down the street. It is surrounded by some of the richest areas in California in the Silicon Valley.
Sure.
And at one point in the 90s, they were the murder capital of the United States per capita.
Really?
They had, I forgot how many, they had maybe 20,000 people. It's a 2.5 square mile city. And I think they had like 50 murders in 1 year, 50
That's
in 2.5 square miles. Could you imagine just a 2.5 square mile area of your city having like anywhere from 40 to 50 murders? That's wild, right? It was the Wild West. Yeah. And this is in some of the wealthiest areas in the country.
Affluent neighborhood.
Absolutely. Zuckerberg can go in there and like buy the whole city if he really wanted to. And that's essentially what's happening now is since Facebook moved in, I don't want to say gentrification, but certainly some of those houses are over $1 million now. Some of those old houses from the hood. I mean, I'm talking like 3-bedroom, 1 bath, 1,100 square feet on like 4,000 square foot lot.
Right.
Is going for like 1.2, 1.3 million easily.
Yeah, we talked to a couple of you Cali guys. And blows my mind every time.
That's why I left. So DA's office, and then here I am.
So yeah, it kind of goes into our next thing we want to talk about. How did you wind up in Texas? Or I mean, obviously we know it's the best place there is, but how did you go from? When did you realize that California was not as good as Texas?
So one of the things that just like the shirt says, like I have a jiu-jitsu school. I'm a jiu-jitsu school owner.
Yeah. Did you do that in California as well?
I did. I started my jiu-jitsu academy in California in 2010.
Okay.
In the same city that I worked in. So we started it very small. We started it organically, and it got to the point in 2016 that I had to make a decision. I could no longer be a full-time police officer and run my school, only because it had gotten to a point where it was getting really big. And which
is a good thing. You're that successful.
It is a good thing. It was a good thing. And it was my exit strategy, right? And I left. So I decided to leave police work early. I was 46. Our retirement age is, I was 46, 47. Our retirement age is 50.
Okay.
Right? So I can retire early, but I don't get my pension until I'm 50.
Yeah.
So I left, right?
Oh, yeah, you're really going out on a limb.
I really went out on a limb to try to run this business, and it was great. As soon as I went full-time, obviously what you focus on grows. I was able to focus on the business, and it grew immensely, and everything was going great. And then COVID hit.
Geez, yeah.
Okay? So what I saw, I don't want to get political, but what I saw the way the California government treated two of the things that are most important to me. I saw how they treated my children, with how they dealt with schools. Mm-hmm. They literally shut schools down. Yeah. And my second oldest suffered immensely because of the shutdown, and I saw that. And I saw other places, starting school back up. I mean, I know you guys, I think it was March, COVID hit, but I think by September schools are open again, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. But no, not in California. I think it was a year and a half or something. I mean, it was just rough. And when they did open up the schools, I think a lot of the teachers just forgot to teach. They would just hand work to the kids. They were isolated. Kids were in classes with barriers. I mean, everything that was just wrong. And the second thing I saw was how they treated my business, which is how I feed my kids.
Right.
They gave my business no chance. They were just like, "You're done. You're done. Nothing."
It's hard to wear a mask.
Can't mask. Well, you can't. 6 foot rule.
6 feet, yeah.
The 6 foot rule. You can't even, you can't even get in there. So so what happened? We went underground. We had the school, like the students just kind of give the wink and the nod and kind of did this and said,
are you down?
let's go. So we became we had the running joke was we were the Wolverines, because we're Wolverines. So we're fighting against the government,
funny.
right?
Yeah.
So a bunch of us would just train, and we just kept it going, and so I realized that the government in order for me to survive and feed my kids, forced me to be a criminal.
Right.
So understanding how the government is going to treat me and my kids, that was a preview of how things would be the next time something like that were ever to come around. So we made the decision. The way we're making money is right here with this jiu-jitsu school in California. We saw that the government tried to kill us when they had the chance. Is this where we want to be if this ever happens again?
Right.
Immediately we said no. We divested from California in 2021. In 2020, we bought property here in Texas, in Colleyville. And then in 2021, we moved here permanently.
Yeah.
And so, between 21 and 22, I didn't know if I wanted to start a jiu-jitsu academy yet. I really didn't know. It's very difficult to run a jiu-jitsu school. It's a business like anything else, and it's got its headaches. And I don't know if I wanted that.
I've seen guys run jiu-jitsu schools, and it looks easy. You just beat the crap out of everybody in there. You're like, thank you. See you next time.
Come back next week.
Whatever Chief Leonard tells you, don't listen to it. So so for the first year, I didn't have a school, and then and then in the second year, my wife and I really felt the sense of community. We'd been living in Colleyville for like a year. We felt like Texas has given us kind of a new lease on life and a new future for our kids. So one of the things that we decided to do was, what we realized was, if we wanted to be a part of this community, we needed to give back to this community. We don't just take. One of the best ways we know to give back to this community is to do what we do best. It's to run a jiu-jitsu school, because the past 12 years of being a school owner in California, man, I must have helped dozens, if not hundreds of people, kids, change lives through our business, and we were able to positively impact people. So how irresponsible would it be for us to not offer the same thing to the people in Colleyville? Right. So we decided to open up. I mean, and the first year, it's always rough. You're trying to get your name out there. You have so many people doubting you, and I still have my business in California, so I'm flying back.
Oh wow!
I kept that business. That business is very profitable. We have the largest Jiu-Jitsu academy in the Bay Area and the San Francisco Bay Area, Peninsula Self-Defense. And so I was flying back and forth, and we're just juggling. We had these balls up in the air. We're juggling. We're doing okay. And last year, I went into a partnership with my very good friend and student, Ed Soares, and his wife, Jocelyn. Ed is a sergeant from the Menlo Park Police Department who I've known for over 20 years. Yeah. His wife, Jocelyn, was a former LA County Sheriff's Deputy. She's now a San Mateo County Sheriff's Deputy. His son is his son Will is a Sheriff's Deputy. So now my business partners are cops. So the business went from cop to cop. Right. And he's doing an amazing job over there. And so they're running the day-to-day operations over there.
It kind of frees you up.
And it frees me up to kind of do this stuff here and to really work and network and to really build up my business. So I still have both businesses. I'm still 50% owner, but Ed and Jocelyn do the day-to-day stuff, and the cop flavor hasn't left.
Right. Yeah.
Awesome.
Those same values are still there, entrenched very hard.
Well, and so you're opening a school. You're opening a school in 21, 22. Mm-hmm. You're not opening a school with someone who's new to the sport, obviously, or the discipline. When did you start? Because you're not getting to the point where you're opening a school.
No,
until you're a very upper level.
Yeah, by that time I was already a black belt, and I started jiu-jitsu in 2003. Okay. And this is it's a funny story, right? 2003. I think I was a detective or something like that. You can't tell me nothing, man. You can't tell a young cop nothing. Man, I'm the man. Don't tell me what to do, right? Yeah. So I'm seeing all these articles about jiu-jitsu, UFC, the Gracies. I was a big karate guy, a big tough karate guy, right? And I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna go. I need to learn this jiu-jitsu stuff. I think I can do this, and I go to this place. It's called Half Gracie Mountain View. So Half Gracie is he's a very famous jiu-jitsu guy, but that school is known for being just rough and tumble. Yeah. Most of the people there are just rough. I went in there and I got my ass handed to me 7 ways till Sunday.
Did you go in there trying to kick people?
I went in there. I just tried to fight everyone, and then I realized, it was like, man, I don't know anything. But I walked out of there. Yeah. Instead of walking out of there humbled, I walked out of there like a cop. I just said, I'm just gonna shoot you, man. I don't care.
Yeah, right.
I'll
Yeah,
just
exactly.
shoot you. Taser. You know, I'll just shoot you. I don't need this stuff.
Like the cop version of, I don't know, bro. I just see red.
Yeah, I just see red. Exactly. That's exactly it. You know, and I'm like, man, a couple months go by, I go back again. Same result. It took me like 3 or 4, over a process of maybe a year and a half to finally realize, I said, look, you suck at this. And the only way you're going to get good at this is to literally jump in there and do it.
Yeah.
You just have to suck it up and do it. And that's something that jiu-jitsu really made me realize that I had to do. And, you know, and that's when I realized the value for me. And so that's when I started to integrate it, because I was a defensive tactics instructor. I started to try to do it in our department training at the police academy. And you know, there's always, it wasn't very well accepted. It just wasn't at the time. It's just, hey, we have a requirement for 1 takedown. That's all we're going to do. We're just going to do one. You know, we're just going to do the bare. We're just going to do the bare minimum.
Anyway.
No, we're just going to do the bare minimum. We're just going to do the bare minimum and get everyone past. I goes, no, that's not the point. And even now, 20 years later, I firmly believe this, is that the ability, the benefit of jiu-jitsu for cops, in my opinion, is not their ability to choke someone or to armbar someone or to take someone's back. That stuff to me is secondary. The primary benefit is that the practice of jiu-jitsu allows officers to be in situations where they have to make critical decisions repeatedly with real consequences. In every training session that you do, you are required to think critically under stress, repeatedly, with real consequences. And it's that critical thinking exercise that's going to help you tremendously, because your ability to choke someone out or armbar someone may come into play at some point, but your ability to think critically under stress is on you every day. Even in cases where there's no need for physical force, right? It has nothing to do with use of force or anything like that. Testifying in court.
Highly stressful.
You know? Very stressful. How do you handle it? How do you dance around it? Emergency evacuations, where you got to evacuate people and you have to triage these situations. Who goes first? Who goes where? You know, it's that repeated exercise of critical thinking. So when cops do this, I tell them, I said, look, man, I said, don't worry about who you tap or who you. I want you to just be in your head and think about the decisions you're making. And sometimes when I have police officer students, I'll be rolling with them. I'll just be rolling. We'll be mid-roll, and I can see they're getting exhausted, and I'll kind of hold them down and say, hey, what color uniform is Al in the corner over there wearing? Tell me. And I'll be like, blue. Okay. How tall is he? What color is his hair? So basically now I'm trying to make them give me information, like parse out information under stress. That's what you do in a foot pursuit or any kind of vehicle pursuit, right?
That's true, yeah.
You're under stress and you're learning to parse things out. And that's where the value is. So every time I get officers to come train with me, it's much more than just arm barring, choking. I want you to take it outside of that and think of those little things that are going to help you do your job better. And that's the important part of it for me.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a really good point. I would be so offended if you did that to me. I'm trying to breathe. You're like, what kind of haircut that guy have? I'm like, freaking no, dude.
Yeah, no, I'll be rolling with my. He goes, hey, I want you to call for a cover unit right now. Go ahead. And they'll be like, where are you? Where are you? Where are you? What's the address? Where are you?
I'm in hell.
But that is so important. You have to do that. So even here, I tell a lot of guys, I don't care what sport that you do. I just care that you do it.
Yeah.
Because like I like to still get out there and do some boxing.
Very good.
And mix it up because it's totally different when somebody's throwing back at you.
Yeah, no,
absolutely.
And,
and they go, oh, well, you have to have a plan. That's absolutely right. We need a plan. But when you get hit in the mouth, you still have to have a plan. And you got to be able to think.
Yeah, you got to be able to think. Absolutely.
Whether it's jiu-jitsu, I think every department needs it because it's grappling. You got to get on the ground and wrestle. He and I have been doing it. Hell, you've been doing it for a long time. You can almost count on one hand how many times you stood up and fought somebody. Maybe once. 15 and a half years, talking about me, maybe once. Yeah. But how many times did I end up on the ground and you trying to subdue somebody and hold them down? Oh, hell, 25, 35 times. Easy. Yeah. Easy.
That's the natural progression. And you're right. It doesn't matter what they do. They have to do something.
You got to do something.
Well, my very first day, and my very first day in FTO school, a long time ago, we had this salty guy come in. He was the owner, not the owner, but he was the instructor. So the guy had his master's degree in something. He was like a little Hispanic guy. He was Hispanic, spoke a second language, but he was only a police officer. He never promoted. So automatically you're going, this guy checks off a lot of the boxes to promote up, and he's still a police officer. Something's going on. So it's because he was nuts, right? But it's because the guy was crazy. But even in this craziness, he taught me one thing that I'll never forget. Very first day, he looks at us and he goes, you guys think the enemy is the gang member with the gun? You think the enemy is the bad guy that's trying to get away, trying to hurt you? That is not the enemy. The enemy is this, and he writes 4 letters down. He writes on the board, he goes PERS, PERS. PERS is California's public employee retirement system. Okay, it's our pension system. He goes, that is the enemy. You want to know why? Because you guys aren't taking care of yourselves, and when you die young, they keep all your money. They're the real enemy. So what you have to do is you have to give it right back to them. Stay in shape. Don't smoke. Do this. Do that. Live as long as you can and milk them for every damn red cent they owe you. He was so passionate about it. I'm like, going, you're crazy, but you're right. You're crazy, but you're right. So that's it. So when you say, I don't care what you do, just do it. Stay in shape. Keep your mind right. Eat well as best you can. And just stay healthy so you can enjoy your retirement. That's really what it's about. Because cops die after retirement.
It's crazy.
So much. I have friends now that I in my peers that are passing away because of health issues. It's because they didn't take care of themselves, or for one reason or another. But man, the enemy is that retirement system. You want to milk those bastards for every red cent. I want to be 100 and just still be collecting my check. Because every time that check goes in my direct deposit, it's a big middle finger.
Just imagine that guy waking up every day just like, hell
yeah. That's what you want, that's what I really, really enjoy now is that I'm retired. I have my retirement. I can give back through my jiu-jitsu. I have time with my kids. I did a podcast the other day, and I told the guy I work 19 hours a week, and he's like, 19 hours a week? What is that? I said, listen, man, if I got to work 20 or if I have to put shoes on, it's a bad day. I got shoes on right now. Usually it's flip-flops. I got shoes on right now, so, just...
because a lot of gyms I've seen, they keep kind of like... like tattoo studio or like bar hours. Like they're not open until 3 or 4 or 5 in the afternoon.
I teach a noon class and then from 4 to 8 and and then I have other people that come in and teach for me and I've been doing it a while, so I don't feel I need to be there. I have a lot of trust in the people I work with. It's like a boss that just kind of lets you go instead of being all up in your business, everything you do.
Now, do you manage competitions and coach and that sort of thing as well?
We do. We have competitions. My students compete at some of the highest levels of competition.
Have you named your gym yet?
JJ Machado DFW. I'm a black belt under JJ Machado. He's probably one of the most famous Jiu-Jitsu people on planet Earth. His students are Joe Rogan's a student. Joe Rogan has a black belt under him. Keanu Reeves trains with him. All of these like celebrities have trained with John Jock. Chuck Norris has trained with Master Chuck Norris. Got his black belt from John Jock. So it's old school. So, he's my teacher and my master, and I'm really proud to represent him. I'm the only affiliate school here in Texas.
No kidding.
There was one in Austin at one point, but it's no longer there. So as of right now, I'm the only one here in Texas. So I'm kind of planting the flag really hard for him here,
right?
And we're trying to bump things up, and our school's obviously law enforcement friendly. We'll give you guys the player's price. Cops will come and get the player's price. You get the extra choke because I love you, but
I was gonna say, hey, Katie, look over there. What is he wearing? I don't know. Get your hands out of me.
I don't know. I'm a client. Leave me alone.
Man, that's good. So look, I want to know, how did y'all decide? You said Colleyville.
Colleyville, yeah.
So all these other cities in Texas, how did y'all end up there?
So I came out here. My wife and I were like, we got to get out of California, and so we decided we were either going to do Texas or Florida.
Oh, okay.
My best friend, my very first friend that I made when I came to the United States, still my best friend to this day.
Oh, cool.
Moved to Oklahoma like in the mid '80s, and I met him in 1980. But my best friend, so he lives in Oklahoma City. like, man, how cool it'd be if I could hang out with Jason again, you know, to hang out with my homeboy again. So we decided we'd gonna come to the Dallas area, and we were, where were we? So this is COVID, right? So in California, everything was closed. Yeah. Nail salons, everything was closed. But we came, and this was July 2020. We came to Texas, and we just kind of to check it out. And we're sitting at a nail salon getting manicures and pedicures, both of us, my wife and I, and we're looking at each other going, this is great.
Well, it's funny because I don't want to interrupt you, but it's such a funny thing hearing you guys from California talk about COVID, because you talk about like, this was during COVID.
No, it was.
And like, for us, I'm like, that was like a really weird 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Right.
I just drank too much.
Right.
Yeah.
Put a mask on and go.
It completely shifted everything over there, and it was they isolated people even more. It was so dark. Like parks were closed. Yeah. My kids couldn't leave the house. I would walk outside. I'd see someone walking down the street on the same side of the sidewalk as me, and they'd cross over. Like people, they taught everyone that people were bad, basically, that contact with other people would kill you. Yeah. And they pushed that, you know?
It actually made me question our profession on a large scale for the first time ever.
Yeah.
Because you'd see incidents of abuse, or shooting that was bad, or use of force that was bad. And you're like, okay, well that particular cop is a piece of shit, or they're stupid or whatever. But seeing some of the stuff come out of California and other places where you got guys like getting chased down by cops on the beach, or arrested in parks where they're by themselves, and it's like it made me kind of look at. I've always had that opinion of our profession, like, oh well, if things get to that totalitarian point, I have faith our guys are going to stand up for what's right. But I really made me look at that pack mentality and think, man, like how far are guys going to go for a paycheck?
Right. There'll always be a couple, and you just need a couple to go follow along, and that's all you need. And it was a dark time. Like you couldn't even leave your house unless you had to be an essential worker, or you have to have an essential activity for you to leave your house.
No.
Yes. You had to be deemed like an essential worker. So if you worked at the grocery store, or like not even grocery, let's say you just had a regular 9-to-5 IT job or something, and you left your house and you got pulled over, the cops could actually ask you, what are you doing out here? Because we need you to stay at home. Essentially martial law. So the only reason I was able to leave my house and go do stuff as an essential worker was because at the time, even though I was a retired police officer, I worked for the Defense Council. So I was part of the justice system still as an investigator. I was working around. So that was the only way I was able to leave my house. But people were told you cannot leave your house unless you were an essential worker. And they defined what an essential employee was. It was bananas, guys. I'm telling you, it was so dark. And the thing is, COVID starts in March. We come out here in July. Kids are playing soccer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. People are at restaurants. We're eating at restaurants. Life is normal. Yeah. And it's like,
we had a weird thing where you had to have a mask on when you stood up, but then you could take it off when you sat down.
Yeah.
But that was it.
That was it. It was like, so anyway, we were getting our nails done, and we're like, we got to start looking for stuff. And I'm used to California prices, right? Yeah. And this is 2020. Yeah, we were looking at real estate.
This is what I want to hear.
I'm like, what? They want how much for this? 1 acre in Colleyville for this much? This is 2020. I mean, those prices have tripled now.
Yeah. I wonder why.
Yes! They got it right in time. And we saw it, and I was like, what? Let's go take a look at this. We jumped in our car, looked around, and it's like, they want how much for this? Because we get to do this right now. We made an offer that day.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And our offer was accepted as we were driving home to California on the phone. So that was it. And that was when we committed to it. We kind of did a little bit of research, but it was just happenstance. My wife and I, we're pretty entrepreneurial, so we don't worry too much about the details of things that we do. It's kind of crazy. That's just how we've been married like almost 30 years now.
That's awesome.
Yeah. 30 years, and that's just we kind of just say, okay, this feels good. I think we can make it happen, and we have enough confidence in each other that we're just going to go do it. And our kids just kind of come along, and our kids adjusted wonderfully.
Really?
Wonderful. They did a great job, and they love it. the two youngest ones, I said, we're going to go back to California. They're like, I'll go back to California, see my cousin, but if you take me out of Texas, I'm fighting you. So
Nice,
my
very nice.
two younger ones are Texans. My two older ones are Californians. But my two younger
Really?
ones are Texans for sure. Wait, love
Wait,
them all.
Do they have boots?
We're working on it.
All right, we got.
I'm Filipino. We got slippers. I got slippers. I got a lot of slippers. So we're working on the boots. We're working on the boots. I'm working on the boots, working on the hat, But the funny thing now is a lot of my students and my friends are moving here.
Yeah.
They're following me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I have had several students that come over here. I have another student. His name is Francisco. He's a retired officer from California. He's coming over.
Yeah.
My friend Mark is retired from San Francisco PD. He's coming over. So Francisco's bought a house in Alito. Mark has a house now in, I think in North Richland Hills.
Yeah.
So they're all coming, and they all.
Yeah.
Well, I'm kind of bringing my little posse's kind of
Yeah.
following me over here, which is really nice.
Yeah.
Now, and I don't know if you're comfortable talking about it, but moving forward, obviously you've been able to successfully, operate a business in California. Now you're hands-on running one in Texas. As people kind of come in and start surrounding you, are you entertaining the idea of kind of branching out to additional locations around Texas?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Think big, man.
Yeah.
If and that's what I told my teacher was, this is just the beginning. We want to do more. We if you're entrepreneurial and you kind of have, that kind of spirit to grow, then absolutely, I'll roll the dice. We'll go for it. And the main thing now, as a longtime business owner, is infrastructure. So once I have the infrastructure built, then it'll be easier. It just gets easier every time you do it. And so the lessons I learned from building the first school are very different from the lessons I've learned building this second school. The first school was organic. It was kind of like, hey, let's just get together. Our rent wasn't much. It wasn't, no expenses. And then as my clientele grew and I can afford more and more, then I would upgrade and I would do certain things. But here, you do all the upgrades up front. You don't have the clientele to back it. So now you have to backfill with clientele. So the lesson I've learned from that and how to build is what I'm going to take to my next location. You know what I mean? And then it just like anything else, just, you still build.
Like, what are your main considerations on a business side? Because, like, to a layman,
Yeah.
I just walk in, I see, it's a big empty room generally with mats.
Yeah.
Like, what's your main overhead consideration?
Overhead is cheap. Starting a jiu-jitsu school is incredibly cheap. And it's all labor, right? It's all labor. You can start a jiu-jitsu school. Mats, depending on the size, will cost you anywhere from $15 to $20,000. The good quality ones, wow. They're expensive.
Wait, I thought you said it was cheap.
Yeah.
I was hearing $1,500.
No, just to start that business. I mean, but man, if you want a Chick-fil-A, you better have $400,000 in the bank, to start. And
for sure.
If I can start a business for under $20,000, kind of grassroots, it works. So that location is always really important, and then your ability to get the word out. That is very important. How good are you at getting the word out and networking? I suck at networking. I'm horrible. I'm horrible at it. I'm not. It's like you hate crowds, right?
Sure.
You hate people in general, right?
I'm there. Sorry,
Not
I'm
everybody.
But it's hard. It's hard to meet new people. You kind of got to take a deep breath. So those are things I'm working on to get better at. Networking and then bringing people in and setting a vision for your school is also really difficult. What typically happens to most people that start their jiu-jitsu school is they get gimmicky. When I say gimmicky, they do things outside of their normal behavior just to get people in. Like, for example, let's just say, I don't know, let's say you hate, these birthday parties that you go to. And then, not a big fan of birthday parties, but people will be like, hey, come have a birthday party at my school, just to kind of. But see, I will never do something.
A birthday party at a jiu-jitsu school?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Just have the idea being if I host a party at my school, you'll invite your friends to come there. Now they're in my building. Now I can advertise to those kids,
Gotcha.
and then I can grow things. See. And I've never done that. That's just not my personality.
Right.
We don't do that.
Well, I think as cops, we tend to really suck at being salesmen, too.
Yeah. We're very antisocial, unless it's other cops. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
That's just how we're wired. See, and that's a price you pay, because that's not normal, guys.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's not normal.
Which is
I
funny
agree.
because, like, it seems so normal.
It's normal, but it's
Yeah.
not. You know what I mean? You guys understand. You've been around for a while, and it's those things. Like for example, as an entrepreneur, you have to be kind of brave enough to do things the way that feels right for you. So one of the things I do that most people think is crazy is we don't do contracts in my school. We go month to month.
Okay.
You can cancel anytime you want for any reason. I don't charge you anything other than your fee. And if you need to go from vacation for a month and go away, call me, and then we'll take it out. Some people insist on locking you down to a year contract, and they want that money up front.
Yeah.
So what that does is, if something happens to you and they won't let you out of the contract, now you're a bitter client.
Right.
Right? So you're like, man, I might as well go train even though I hate this place. So now you breed like a culture of just disdain on your mat.
Sure.
Yeah.
So those are some things that my wife and I like. We take out things that we hate. As a parent, I've got 4 girls. I don't know if I told you guys. Jeez.
No.
I got 4 girls. And
Wait a minute.
and you know, like one of the things I hate as a parent is if you get your kid involved in an activity, they don't want you to buy this, they want you to buy that, they want you, and then like a month later, the kids aren't into it anymore, right? They're like, oh, we don't want, and you're just like, damn it, how much, you know?
Yeah.
So one of the things we do is when the parents come in, we say, okay, this out's going to be $20 for 2 weeks. Try it out first. Here's a free uniform. You don't have to spend any more than $20 for the first 2 weeks. Make sure it's what you want. Talk to all the other parents. Talk to all the other kids. Then in about 30 days, when you think your kid wants to commit to this, then spend the money on buying a uniform.
Right.
You don't have to buy the uniform for much. You can buy, but these are things that we like as parents. So that's what we try to put into our business. But most people don't see it that way. But see, that's just because I'm just trying to run a fair business. And I don't care. And so I think that's what's led to a lot of our growth in both schools is that we just treat people fairly.
Well, and it's like from the perspective of a parent who has enrolled their kids in a school. Like first of all, that uniform thing is massive because like both my boys that tried it, they did it probably 4 or 5 months. They're real into baseball.
Yeah,
it takes up a lot of money, a lot of time.
Yes,
they eventually got to the point where like, they were going to have to choose. They weren't prepared to go away from baseball. But if I had been forced to buy the school gi, you get into a 12-month contract, all that would it's a lot of freaking money on top of everything I had to do. And it sends a message to me, like if I go to your school and you tell me, no, I don't care about a contract, just it's this much for this month. That tells me you're confident in your product.
Yeah, I was going to say
I have to earn your business every month.
Right.
But the model that we have forces me to work really hard to earn your business every month.
Yeah.
And it forces all my other coaches and my wife who runs the front. And it's the same in California. You know, my student Ed, he's a great guy. And you talk about jiu-jitsu transforming a person. That guy, man. When Ed first came to me, so Ed, I love him. I'm gonna throw him down. I called him before this. I said, hey, I'm doing a cop podcast. I'm gonna throw you down. And he's like, go ahead, man, do it. Anyway, when Ed first came to me, Ed is 6'3", about 265 years, a power lifter and a big. And he had a reputation in the county of being the guy first through the door, second out the back, first at the emergency room with this guy, right?
Yeah.
So he over the years, Ed is very physical, and you know, he had this reputation of being just like the super aggressive, you know, typical bearded cop, big buffed guy, you know, and he came to my academy. I've been telling him, hey, I've known the guy for 20 years. Yeah, do jiu-jitsu. Then maybe about, I think 5 years ago, he finally says, all right, man. He calls me and he shows up at the school. He goes, I'm going to come back tomorrow. And he's got this big, long beard. You know, he's working narcs and he's got a canine and arms out to here. He's a detective sergeant, you know, a big, tough guy. And I get him and I say, we're going to roll. I sweep him. He ends up on his back. I get on top of him and I hug him and I crush him. And he taps from the pressure of me being on top. He had no idea what just happened to him. Yeah. And he's like, what'd you just do to me? And, you know, and it was like a light bulb went off. And ever since that day, that guy's dedicated himself to this. And so now the running joke is he would get complaints, lawsuits, you know, being looked at for a variety of stuff. He goes, man, ever since I started jiu-jitsu, I can't even get a complaint. he goes, I'm taking people to jail. No one's gone to the hospital. It has completely shifted his way of thinking. He's a supervisor. He's a boss. And he says, man, even my people that they know pre-jiu-jitsu Ed and post-jiu-jitsu Ed. Post-jiu-jitsu Ed is like the calm, like, hey, we'll figure this out. No need to yell. We're going to take care of this. And so it transformed him tremendously, which is why he's such a big proponent of it. He's also a massive competitor. I mean, he loves to compete.
I'd say not just physically massive.
Yeah. He loves to compete too. He's completely transformed his way of thinking. And now that he's running the school, he's running the school full time. Him and his wife, and he's getting ready to retire. I think hopefully by the summer, and he's going to take over. And it's like, and it's so funny because the guy puts stuff on Facebook all the time. Oh, I got this note from this kid, Coach Ed, thank you so much for helping me at the tournament. Yeah, and like this, and then I would just comment, you cried like a didn't you? You cried like a little girl. You did, didn't you? And he's like, shut up. I didn't cry. And so awesome. To see that transformation in his life and give him a new mission. He tells me all the time how grateful he is that he now understands his mission post-retirement because he's a guy that lived being a cop, lived it. I mean, he's the guy that was at home, in his home on a Sunday, hears on the radio that they were having a festival, that there was an active shooter at the festival. Hears it on just the news or whatever. Puts on a vest, grabs an AR, gets in his truck, heads right out there to the scene, and starts doing yard searches with these guys. And he's 60 miles away from his jurisdiction, but he's that kind of guy. He packs up and he just goes, and to hear him talk about life post cop and how excited he is about and working with these little kids, these little kids pulling on him and tugging on him like little rugrats, and he loves them. And awesome. To see that, that just warms my heart to be able to give an opportunity like that to him.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
I'll speak on the aspect of like getting into something like jiu-jitsu. It's weird how it works, but it like calms you down when you go out to do your job.
Right.
Because for me, it's like, and I didn't understand it at first, but shout out to Buendia Boxing Club. So what he told me was, Katie, I can teach you how to fight. But what it's going to do is teach you how to size up somebody. Yeah. And this was before I became police. And he goes, you'll be comfortable if you ever need to fight anybody.
Yeah.
You won't look at somebody and go, oh, man, that guy is 6'1". Yeah. I can't fight him. Yeah. He goes, no, what I want you to do is start going, okay, if I angle this way, all right, he's a southpaw. So now I need to do this. And so, like, some of these guys that come in and we see them, they come in the gi suits or whatever. And it's like, you can just tell, like, talking to some of them, it's like, if I have to throw him down, I can grapple with him. And it gives you a sense of calmness.
These little micro doses of adversity that training gives you inoculates you against pressure.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was going to say, because I don't even know how much of it is the skill of like, I can do this, but it's more like the boxing thing. Like getting hit in the face. Yeah, I think no cop should be on the street unless you've gotten beat up.
You get slobber knocked a little
because
bit.
If you're sitting there and like, oh my God, this guy might hit me, and then that's when you get guys jumping the taser too fast, jumping the guns too fast, as opposed to if he hits me, I'm still going to be alive. Like I'm not going to break.
Those little inoculations of pressure wherever you find them, and you just accept it, take it, and you just it builds your confidence up, and it's just layer by layer by layer. It's like a 3D printer. It just goes over 1, 2, and all of a sudden it starts to build a little bit of thing, and then now you don't trip anymore, right? But before combat sports or anything you do, you'd see a big buff guy and you'd be like, oh man, I can't take that guy. Yeah. Now you see a big buff guy, I look at him, I go, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I go, that's interesting. I wonder what I'd do with that. You kind of just do this, and believe me, I've trained with some NFL players that have come to my school and big, massive pro athletes. And, if I didn't have that confidence or technique, I'm not saying that I beat them, but I can say that I could hang with them, and then that's all. I'm 53 years old. I should be, I should be sitting on my front lawn yelling, get off my lawn, I'm like, get out of here. But I'm
they
still
say
out
no,
there.
You can hurt them.
I'm still out there active, having fun and keeping it light, and that's the most important thing, guys.
Well, you motivate the hell out of me because my consistency is god awful. I love doing it when I'm there, but then I fall off for a couple of days, and that couple of days turns into 3 weeks.
It's hard.
So
you
motivate the hell out of me, man.
It's hard, but it's like habits have nothing to do with motivation.
No.
It's just discipline. You just go. It sucks. It
Discipline,
sucks.
discipline,
It
baby.
sucks. It sucks. It's like putting down that second bourbon. You know, it's like, yeah, no, I'm just gonna put this down. I just don't wanna drink
I
this.
thought you meant put it down. I was like, that's easy.
Put it down.
That doesn't suck.
Another cop cliche, right? Oh boy, man. You guys
Well,
are good.
we're gonna go ahead and wrap up. We've gone longer than they prefer
Oh,
us to,
all right.
but it was such a good conversation.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys-
Before we go, though, I'd love
Yeah.
to give you the opportunity to kind of give you the floor. Just kind of whatever your perspective is as far as new cops in jiu-jitsu, or whatever you feel like a message that you have for people.
Any of the new officers, first off, thank you for carrying the mantle and keeping the flame alive. It is a difficult flame to keep alive, and it's generational. You know, people come and go, and policing has changed tremendously, even in the short time that I've been in. You know, the last 30 years, things have changed tremendously, and they're going to continue to change. So change is inevitable. So all we can do is really just try to motivate a lot of these younger officers to do the right thing. Mm-hmm. What's happened to me ever since moving to Texas is I've been so impressed with the professionalism and how Texas cops are treated here versus how California cops are treated. And so it makes me happy. I tell my friends all the time, you know, hey, look what I saw. Look what I saw at the high school. There's a thin blue line flag at the high school. That's a racist flag in California. You can't have that in the high school. You would be drummed out. Right?
Wow.
Absolutely. No way. You know, hey, I saw lawn signs. I support the blue. You know, I back the blue over here. And you put that in California, someone will burn your house down, and they'd kick that off. That's a little bit of an exaggeration, but it is not law enforcement in California is not looked upon well by the general public, or at least that's the perception that they give. And perception is everything, right? Mm-hmm. If you're working, you don't think no one cares about you, then why are you even working?
Right.
You see the breakdowns and just everything just devolving, criminal justice, everything, so many things devolving in California. And then I come to Texas and I still see, you know, good professional police officers, you know, respect to people. You know, I see the teachers. Grapevine High School has an entire track devoted to law enforcement for high school kids. Yes, I see it. They have a communications program where you can be a dispatcher. They have a forensic program where you can look at other stuff, and then they have other tracks that will bring you towards a police officer, which is amazing.
That's dope. Yeah, I like that.
You cannot even fathom having that in California. There is no way a school would allow that. Absolutely not.
That's so weird.
That's how unfortunate things are. Maybe there are some schools in the pockets, but for the majority of the schools, you know, they're questioning the presence of officers on school campuses.
Yeah. Right.
You know, they were questioning that, which is nuts.
Yeah, I don't even know how you had that conversation.
So, you know, as far as the new generation, it is a difficult job, but it's an honorable one. It's one that you will carry with you, and it will define you. It will define you as a person for the rest of your life. Like, you know, I've moved on from my law enforcement career, but man, deep down, I'm still a cop.
Yeah.
And believe me, when I walked into this building, I'm like, man, I wonder if they're hiring my old ass. I mean, I wonder if they take me over. Maybe I can talk Chief.
There's a mile and a half.
Maybe I can talk Chief Leonard, and then I remember I go, nah, if I put on a uniform, I'd be fired in like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
I'd tell people, get the I'd turn into old me, and then I'm too grumpy. So no, but you know, you kind of come back and you go, maybe I could still do this, you know. But no, my time has passed. The mantle is going to be passed, and soon your time is going to pass. You're going to pass it on, and the only thing we can really do is just pass on the lessons and just make it as easy as possible and motivate those young guys to do a good job, because you know, they're the ones that are going to be protecting us when we're old, and you know,
sure, yeah.
You know, and my eyesight goes, and I can't find my red dot anymore. It's gonna be those guys.
Shotgun. Just shoot the direction.
But that's it, guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I really appreciate you sitting down. This is a lot of fun.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, no, I'm glad I was able to contribute, and I love your hairstyles once again. And then
one more time, what's the name of your gym?
The name of my gym is JJ Machado DFW, and we're on Instagram. You can find us on Facebook. We're located in Colleyville. Law enforcement's always welcome. We do have a discount for law enforcement. We call it the player's price.
Okay.
So please come on down and visit us if you get a chance. You're all welcome to come try it out. Ask for Eric. You know, we'll take care of you.
Awesome.
All right.
I sure appreciate it.
All right. Till next time.
Cool. Thanks, guys. That was
Yeah,
fun.
that was awesome.
Good time.